Today, I'm showing you exactly how to get approved for 50K plus, 20K plus, 100K plus with Bank of America, including the business credit cards, the no doc lines of credit, and the exact strategy that actually works in 2026. If you're new to my channel, my name is Chess. I've secured well over 400K in total business funding for my businesses, and I've helped business owners and entrepreneurs just like yourself secure funding for their business. So everything I teach here, it is based on real world experiences, either from my experiences or from my clients. So Bank of America, they are one of the biggest banks in the country with over $4 trillion in assets. They operate in multiple states, but here's what most people they don't know. You could get approved for Bank of America funding even if they don't have a physical branch in your state. I've gotten approval for clients in states where Bank of America has zero physical presence. So if you're wondering, if you're worried about the location, don't be. You can absolutely apply and get funding regardless of where you live. Now, the only limitation is if you need frequent in branch services like depositing, cash, speaking to a banker face to face. But for applying for products and getting funding, location doesn't matter. So let me be clear about something up front. Bank of America is a more conservative than a lot of other banks. They're more picky, their requirements are a lot stricter, and they're not handing out approvals to just everyone. But that's what exactly why the limits are so high. When you do get approved, I'm one of the few people who consistently gets clients approved at Bank of America, especially clients who don't already have 5 to 10 years of relationship there. So let's break it down exactly how to do this right. Bank of America wants to see a strong personal credit profile. If you're sitting at 700 to 710, I would recommend waiting until you are at least over 750 before applying. They are super sensitive to lower scores, and the denial rate increases significantly below that threshold. So your inquiries, they matter here too. Try to keep your inquiries under 3 if possible over the last 6 months. Bank of America typically pulls from TransUnion, though I've seen them pull from Equifax or Experian as well. I haven't personally seen them pull from Equifax a lot, but that doesn't mean it never happens. Banks change their practices all the time, so just be aware. Credit utilization has not been a major issue in my experience. As long as you're not totally maxed out, you should be fine. For credit history, I'd want to see you at least 1 year on your personal side, ideally over 5 years of average. And here's some good news: if you don't need prior business credit to get approved at Bank of America. This can be your completely first business credit card. So you don't need any garbage net 30 accounts. You don't need tier one or tier two trade lines. None of those. And Bank of America, they can be your starting point for business funding if you do everything else correctly. Now, here's what most people miss: they mess this all up. Do you technically need a relationship with Bank of America to get approved? No. Can you apply online without ever banking there? Yes. Should you do that? Only on some cases. So let me be very direct. The denial rates, it does skyrocket when you don't at least have a business checking account with them first. I've seen this play out hundreds of times. People with great credit, 800 credit scores, apply cold, no relationships, and get denied almost for no reasons at all. And here's the other mistake. Even if you open a business checking account, I would not apply immediately. I know bankers are going to push you to apply right away when you do open up your accounts. That's a trap. Try not to do that. Just remember that if you get anything from this video at all. They have incentive to get you to apply for the products right when you open up your business checking account. And that's how they're paid. But here's what they don't understand. They don't know the strategy. We're discussing today, right now. They see customers all day, but they're not connecting the dots between who gets high approvals and who gets denied. Just because someone works at the bank, it doesn't mean that they understand the approval algorithms. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So when they tell you to apply today, just remember to ignore them. Maybe tell them next time. And you need to build that relationship first before applying. The checking accounts I recommend is going to be the simplest one, the Business Advantage Fundamental Bank Account. It's going to be simple. It's the most basic business checking option. You don't need to get the other ones, it's not too critical for you. But here's the critical part: the minimum to open this is going to be $100, but the minimum balance to avoid fees is going to be $5,000. That's right, $5,000. And if you don't maintain at least $5,000 in this account, you get hit with a $16, $20 monthly fee. Now, some of you might think, who cares about a $16 a month? It's not about the fees, it's about that 5K balance, what it does to signal to banks. If you're not even meeting their minimum balance requirements, why would they give you 5K, 10K, 30K, or more in funding? The balance requirements, it exists for a reason. It shows that you're serious, that you have capital, you can manage money. Can you get approved without the 5K? Technically, yes, you can. I've seen it happen, but I've also seen way more denials than approvals from this. So if you want optimal results, maintain that 5K minimum. Don't try to game the system just by just making debit card transactions to avoid the fees. Have the actual cash sitting in there. They do have a higher tier business checking accounts, like the Business Advantage Relationship Banking account, but that does require you to have 15K minimum in the account. Unless you're operating at that level, I would stick with the fundamental accounts and the 5K requirement. Bank of America, they currently offer 4 different business credit cards with 0% APR. They did lower it to 7 months now of 0%, which isn't long, as long as the other kind of cards we go for, which is 12 to 18 months that you'll see with other banks, but 7 months, still solid. They do have one more card that does not offer actually 0%, but we do have a strategy to kind of combine all the limits together. These cards also come with rewards bonuses, but honestly, the rewards, those aren't really the main attractions that we're here for. What matters is the limits and the 0% financing period. So make sure you're at least getting the statement credit they're offering, if they're offering it. But don't choose a card based on reward points. Here's something important with Bank of America. They do offer a secured business credit card option. And this is great if you're just building business credit and just really not ready for unsecured funding just yet. So most banks, they don't offer secured business credit cards. So this is a solid option for building that foundation with them. If you get denied for the unsecured cards, they might offer you the secured version as an alternative. And look, that's not too bad. It's not a bad thing. It gets your foot in the door. And here's where it gets super interesting. You can apply for multiple business credit cards all at once. We call this the triple or quadruple, or how do you say it with the 5? I don't know. I've personally done this for clients using only one inquiry. And should you apply for all of them all at once? Really depends on your strategy. If you're prioritizing maximum limits right now, apply for multiple cards simultaneously. If you're prioritizing the 0% periods, I want to space them out over time. Maybe you want to go for 1 or 2 and come back later, or just renew your cards 7 months later. Who knows? The limit expectations, I've seen anyone get from 5 to 8K on these cards, but I've also seen single cards approved for 40K. The sweet spot tends to be around 8K all the way up to 16K. It's pretty common. So if you apply for multiple cards at once, the subsequent approvals might be lower than the first. For example, if you do get 9K with the first one, the chance of you getting 4.5 on the next one would be high. It varies based on your profile and their algorithms. This is where things get really interesting with Bank of America. They do offer a business line of credit up to 100K, and it can be approved with no docs in certain situations. Here is the minimum qualifications when it comes to that. Your personal credit scores, it does need to be over 700. You want to be 2 years of business, at least 100K in annual revenue. The interest rates are as low as 8.75, and the minimum line amount is around 10K. So if you're doing 10K, 100K in revenue, you technically do qualify because banks typically lend up to 10% of your gross annual revenue. Now, notice something important in the requirements: at least 2 years in business under existing ownership. That means that certain age corporations cannot skip the line. So you got to do that correctly as well. You got to do it in the correct states, like Wyoming, Colorado, or those would be the 2 that I do recommend actually. Not just exists for 2 years under someone else's and you buy it and then don't know how to get that done. And this is how banks are getting around the age corporation strategy. I'm not saying age corps will never work, but you have to do it correctly. And they definitely don't work at Bank of America if you don't know what you're doing. So here's the big opportunity for you. This line of credit, it can be approved with no documentation, no tax returns, no financial statements, none of that. But here's the catch. You need a strong relationship with Bank of America first. I tried to get a client approved for this years ago without a relationship. he was totally denied. The banks explicitly told us it was because of the lack of a relationship. Since then, every time we've applied, we made sure that the clients have at least 3 to 6 months of banking history with Bank of America First, minimum 3 months. The longer the better, obviously. You also need consistent activity in your business checking account. You can't just leave it there and not do anything. Deposits coming in, expenses going out, no ghost account, like I said. Bank of America also offers a secured line of credit starting at 25K, going up to 250K. For this version, you put up cash and other business assets as collateral. If you want higher than 100K and you have assets that you could pledge, this could be an excellent option for you. So Bank of America, they have solid business loan products. They do charge a $150 origination fee, and that's relatively minor in the grand scheme of things if you are getting 100K plus. And here's a key detail. If you look at their minimum qualifications and you don't see 2 years of tax returns or 1 year of tax returns listed, that's a signal. It means tax returns aren't a base requirement for every applicant. Does that guarantee that you'll get approved without documents? Yes and no, maybe, but it means it's possible, especially if you have a strong relationship with the bank. This is another no doc opportunity if you play your cards right. And they do offer secured business loans up to 250K for equipment or any kind of equipment financing loan or business auto loan. And Bank of America, they are known for being lenient with business auto loans. These go up to 100K with terms up to 72 months and rates starting around 5 to 6%, which is solid in our current market condition. So you can get multiple auto loans with them, and the requirements have gotten stricter recently. They now want 2 years in business where they didn't before. But look, it's still a very viable option. Here's my take on the business auto loans. They do make sense if you're buying a vehicle you'll actually use for the business. For example, like a Sprinter van, a box truck, delivery vehicles, things like that. And if you're just buying a car for personal use and putting it on the business side to write off expenses, I personally would think carefully about whether or not that makes sense for your profitability and your margins as well. If your business is already running on thin margins or you're not quite profitable yet, think about it like this. Adding another expense just to get a tax write off, it might not be the smartest move. So, me personally, I'll talk to the accountant first before doing anything at all. But if you're profitable and you do need the deduction, it's a great tool for you. They do offer a commercial real estate loans and also SBA loan options as well. And here's exactly how I'd approach Bank of America if I were just starting from scratch. First, I'll get my personal credit up to 750 with fewer than less than three increase. I'll open a Business Advantage Fundamental Banking checking account, the simplest account with at least 5K deposited. Ideally, you do one more in there. I'll create consistent activity in the account for at least 3 to 6 months, like your deposits, expenses, just regular movement, and apply for business credit cards first. So consider applying for multiple cards at once if you do want maximum limits. Now, I will continue building the relationship, keeping the checking account active and funded. And after a solid history, I will apply for business lines of credit or loans based on your needs. So, what's the key of all this is going to be sequencing. Bank of America is not the bank I'd recommend going to first as a brand new business. They are more conservative, but if you follow this sequence and do everything right, the limits they approve are substantial. And Bank of America, I personally think they're not easy, but they're totally worth it. The limits are high, the products are solid, and if you do follow this strategy, you will be positioning yourself for success. So start with business checking accounts, build that relationship, and then I will create consistent activity. Then apply strategically for the credit cards, followed by the line of credit or the loan. And also, don't rush it. Don't apply code with no relationship. Don't ignore the 5K minimum balance. So follow this playbook, and you'll have a real shot at 100K in funding from Bank of America. If you need one-on-one help securing 100K plus in business funding, or you want this completely done for you, you can apply to join my mentorship or my Done For You program in the links in the description below, or in the pinned comments below as well. This is Cashflow Chess. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.